It is Thursday, April 9th, the Thursday of Holy Week. So what was happening that Thursday in the city of Jerusalem almost 2,000 years ago? It was the day of preparation to get ready for the Passover. Passover would begin at sundown that Thursday. And of course, it was a day for Jewish families to prepare for the feast that they would share together. Jesus was preparing to share the Passover meal with his disciples. It would take place later that evening. Jesus sent his disciples into Jerusalem to get a place ready to share the meal, and they were to make all the arrangements, and they did. When the evening came, the sun set, Passover began, and they would share the traditional Passover meal together. Only this is one they would never forget. It's at that setting that Jesus took the bread and took the wine and infused them with new meaning, that this was his body and this was his blood. It would be at that meal that Jesus would even tell some of them that one of them would betray him. It was at that meal that Jesus would also rise from the table and begin to wash the feet of his disciples and give them the command to serve one another as he had come to serve them. Sometimes it's called Maundy Thursday. That word comes from a Latin term which is related to the word commandment. It is a reminder of the command that Jesus gave us to serve one another. After the meal, Jesus and his disciples would depart from that Passover feast. They would cross the Kidron Valley, and they would arrive late Thursday evening on the Mount of Olives in the Garden of Gethsemane, amidst a grove of olive trees. The word Gethsemane means the place of the olive press. He would gather there in a garden where Thursday would finish with him in a place of prayer while his disciples were watching. There's something happened that day, and I want it to be the focus of our text today, our focus text. It's in Luke 22 and verse 31. It's a discussion that Jesus had with Simon Peter. Simon, Simon, look out. Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, but I've prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And you, when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Lord, he told him, I'm ready to go with you both to prison and to death. I tell you, Peter, he said, the rooster will not crow today until you deny me 3 times. So that night, after the sun had already set, Jesus had predicted that Peter would deny him before the sunrise and the roosters crow. Peter, of course, couldn't believe this. But it was true, but it's something Jesus said before that I want to encourage you with today. Jesus said, while Satan has asked to sift you as wheat, you're going to go through a difficult time. Your faith is going to be tested. Jesus made this beautiful promise. I have prayed for you. And when you return, strengthen your brothers. It's as if Jesus knew, well, of course he did know, that Peter would fail. But Jesus was praying for him. You know, it's not a matter of if you're going to fail. It's not a matter of if we're going to be weak. It's only a matter of when and how. But is it a promise? Isn't it comforting to know that our Savior is praying for us? In fact, it's the only hope we've got, that Jesus, our intercessor, our mediator, is praying for us, and he's praying that we might be strengthened and return. Be encouraged in this time of testing. Jesus is praying for you. Jesus is praying for us. And though we are weak, and though we fail, Jesus is praying that we may be strengthened and that we may return. And because of him, we have the promise that we indeed will return. We will be strengthened. We will finish because of his prayer and his intercession for us. That was Thursday of Holy Week. Jesus met with his disciples. They broke bread. They drank from the cup. They went into the garden for a night ahead that would change the world forever. And that was Thursday of Holy Week 2,000 years ago.